Standard equations of a parabola with the vertex at hk. So now we're going to do the same exact thing, except it's not going to be centered at the origin, it's going to be at hk. If we remember back to what we did at the beginning of the year, y equals a, x minus h squared, plus k, your vertex was simply at hk. One of the big things to remember here is that the h kind of switched. If it's a minus h, it's really at positive h, whereas the k stayed the same. This is the version where your parabola is going to either point up or down, which means that's very similar to what we did at the beginning of the year, except instead of referring to this as a, we have the 1 over 4p. And remember, the 4p tells you your latus rectum, which tells you how wide to make your parabola. The other thing, keep in mind, same as before, h changes. So if you have a minus h, it becomes h, and then plus k. There you go. Now, down for the ones that point either to the left or to the right. Notice, first of all, that this equation doesn't say y equals, it says x equals, which is what's going to change it from left to right. Your vertex is still at hk, but notice where the h and k are in your equation. H is now on the back, and it doesn't switch. If it's a plus h, you put a plus h. If it's a minus h, you put a minus h. The k, on the other hand, is in the parentheses with the y. The reason for this is because the k is a y value. So when you switch the x and y in the equation, you also have to switch the placement of the h and k, because h stays with the x value, k stays with the y value. And then this time, when you take the k out of the parentheses, he's the one that switches. So whichever one is in the parentheses, remember to switch the sign. Example 3. Writing an equation of a translated parabola. Translated means we're no longer at the origin. So number 3, write the equation of the parabola shown. First thing I'm looking at is the fact that this parabola opens to the right. Because it opens to the right, left or right, I know that it's not a y equals. I know that this guy is going to be an x equals. 1 over 4p, which means this is going to be y minus, keep in mind the k stays with the y, and then plus h. I'm going to go find my vertex. Make sure you're counting by 2's. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, etc., which means this is 2. So my vertex is at 6, 2. This is h, this is k. So now we have x equals 1 over 4p, y minus k, in this case is 2, plus h, which is 6. Last thing we need to find is we need to find our p value. Okay, the other thing, I didn't mention this, but we're leaving the 1 over 4p positive because it's pointing out to the positive direction. If it was pointing backwards to the left, we'd make it negative. Then we're going to find our p-value. Our p-value is from the vertex to the focus. Again, keep in mind you're counting by 2's, so that's 2, 4. So we know p is 4. X equals 1 over 4 times p, which is 4, y minus 2 squared, plus 6. Then we're going to clean it up. X equals 1 over 16, y minus 2 squared, plus 6. And there you go. Number 4, write the equation of a parabola with a vertex at -1, 4 and a focus at -1, 2. Just like before, draw a picture. So -1, 4, that's my vertex. -1, 2, that's my focus. Now, if this is my vertex and that is my focus, that's going to tell me very roughly that my parabola looks like this. If your parabola is pointing up or down, keep in mind that's the y equals. Then, because it's pointing down, we know it has to be a -1 over 4p. And then because the y is on the left, x minus, x always goes with the h value, So that's what we've got. We know that the vertex is at negative 1, 4, so this is your h, that's your k. So then the last thing we're going to need is our p-value. P is from your vertex to your focus, or from your vertex to your directrix, in this case, which is 2. So now we have y equals negative 1 over 4p, which is 2, x minus h, which is a negative 1. When you minus a negative, it becomes positive, plus k, which is 4. If we clean that up, y equals negative 1/8, x plus 1 squared, plus 4.